It's 8 p.m. and here are our top stories in 90 seconds.
Either you didn't know, which means that you're incompetent, or you did know and you're lying to us.
Passionate public comment from residents who want sweeping changes following the arrest of Karen Garner.
It's hard for me not to wonder how much of this is lies this evening.
Tonight, the new recommendations made to the Public Oversight Committee to create accountability. Our Denver7 Weather Action Day is still in effect, with the wet weather sticking around.
Kind of a damp and soggy night out there, but there are 70s and even 80s in the 7-day.
An update to the state's mask mandate.
I think it provides some additional encouragement for those people that are not vaccinated to go ahead and take the plunge.
While it could change the way we all go about life, it also adds another responsibility for business owners.
For us, it's just going to it places another administrative burden on our service providers and for an uncertain benefit.
Plus, a rare tragedy over the weekend in Colorado.
It's a reminder that there are wild and dangerous animals in Colorado, and black bears. This can't happen. It's rare.
After a woman was killed by bears, some are questioning CPW's decision to euthanize them.
Relocation efforts are not foolproof, but bears oftentimes will return many, many miles to where they were relocated from.
Good Monday evening, and thank you for watching Denver7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter. We have a Denver7 Weather Action Day in effect through tonight for continued rain and snow across Colorado. We had some good snow falling in Castle Pines today. Other areas of the metro just had a cold rain all day long. We send it to Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson now with a check of our Denver7 forecast. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Jessica. It's not often we just get an all-day rain, which we certainly had today, with some areas getting close to an inch of rain, and it's still showering lightly in the downtown area. The temperatures are chilly in the low to mid 40s over eastern Colorado, and the rain continues to slowly fall. This is not going to be a major precipitation event overnight. Mountains might see another inch or two of snow, mostly above 7,000 feet. On the plains, it's just rain showers, but it's an awfully nice moisture maker across the Front Range, and that's going to continue for the next couple of days. Light rain and snow tonight, scattered showers tomorrow, and again on Wednesday. A nice warming trend coming up for Thursday and Friday, and then unfortunately, Mother's Day weekend looks a little showery again. I'll have more details coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Areas impacted by last summer's fires are preparing for heavy rains like we have seen today. Grand Junction is handing out free sandbags for people living near the East Troublesome fire. The county says the burn scar doesn't soak up water, so when it rains a lot, like it did today, some areas are likely to flood. New tonight at 8, Loveland's police chief addresses a citizen oversight board for the first time since the violent arrest of 73-year-old Karen Garner. What started as a chance for the chief to explain himself turned into calls for him to resign from his position. Denver7's Addie Guajardo joins us live from Loveland tonight. Addie, frustrated residents made their point clear.
Jessica, they did. The meeting wrapped up less than an hour ago, and residents that spoke out said they've lost trust in their police chief. One resident actually stood up and told the police chief he will never be able to regain his credibility. The police chief expressed concerns over the arrest, even pointed to the transparency from the police department, but citizens here tonight weren't buying it.
Either you didn't know, which means that you're incompetent, or you did know and you're lying to us.
Frustrations flared.
I actually believe you should resign as well as the other officers.
As Loveland residents demanded answers.
It's hard for me not to wonder how much of this is lies this evening.
They questioned when Loveland Police Chief Robert Tyser found out about the violent arrest of Karen Garner. Garner's family attorney says she suffered a broken arm, a dislocated shoulder, and a sprained wrist during the arrest for allegedly shoplifting less than $14 of items from a Walmart.
One of our employees here at this department brought to my attention the video that was released.
Police Chief Tyser explained the investigation process to citizens and the police department Citizen Advisory Board. He firmly repeated he didn't find out about Garner's arrest until April 14th of this year, nearly 10 months after the incident, and says he took action.
There is no doubt this is as serious as it gets. This is our community.
He also addressed the Garner family, who felt his apology fell short at the press conference on Friday.
I'm sorry that if she feels we didn't give her an apology or we're not empathetic. We're extremely concerned about this situation. And this is our community too. We work here, we live here. We want to have a great community. We want to see our community members treated fairly, equally, and with compassion.
3 officers involved in the arrest resigned. A police sergeant remains on administrative leave. Garner's attorney filed a federal lawsuit against the city and 5 officers. City Councilman Don Overcash says he was shocked by the video.
Justifiable outrage and anger is understandable. Patience and understanding, getting to the root cause, addressing specific issues, rather than just using the broad paintbrush and saying all police are bad, that is simply not true. We all know that.
Now, Councilman Overcash, who you just heard from right now, proposed a trust committee to address various issues. The district attorney's office is also investigating this case to see if any of these officers involved in this arrest will be facing charges. After that investigation wraps up, a second investigation will ensue by a third-party investigator. Now, the police chief also mentioned additional training for officers to undergo so that they can better help those citizens that are experiencing a crisis. Reporting live in Loveland, Addie Guajardo, Denver 7.
Addie, thank you. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman wants a review of the police force to see if any jobs can be outsourced to civilians. Kaufman pointed to mental health calls and crash investigations as possibilities. The goal being to save money and allow officers to focus their attention elsewhere. We reached out to the police department for response, but have not heard back. Fewer than 16,000 people received a dose of the COVID vaccine yesterday. It's one of our lowest single-day totals in the last 2 months. According to CDC data, almost half of the state has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. New COVID-19 case numbers remained below 1,000 for a second day in a row. Our state added about 950 new cases today. Colorado's mask mandate has been extended for another 30 days, but there are some modifications that no longer require you to wear it in certain indoor settings. Now, you don't need to wear a mask indoors if 80% of the people you're with are vaccinated. But for restaurant owners, like the one at Bixby's Folly in Denver, it just puts more responsibility on them.
For us, it's just it places another administrative burden on our service providers and for an uncertain benefit.
People can show their vaccination card or a photo of their card on their phone or their immunization records. For only the 4th time in 50 years, bears have killed someone in Colorado. The victim was a 39-year-old woman attacked while walking her dogs just north of Durango. Wildlife officers tracked and put down the bears involved, although some have argued that the animals should have been relocated instead.
A rare tragedy in Colorado has some questioning the methods of Colorado Parks and Wildlife when it comes to euthanizing wild animals.
That is not something that we can allow to happen again. So those animals are put down.
An adult bear and 2 cubs were put down following the death of a 39-year-old woman in Durango on Friday. A necropsy found human remains inside the mother bear and one of her yearlings. As we go 360 on the topic of euthanasia, we hear from a bear attack survivor, your concerns, and Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
It's a reminder that there are wild and dangerous animals in Colorado, and black bears. This can't happen. It's rare.
Jason Clay with CPW says his agency has been getting a lot of comments on their social media questioning the actions of euthanizing these 3 bears. On the CPW Facebook page, Julia asks, how are they still a threat in their own home? Clay explains after the tragedy Friday, if those bears are not put down, the chances of another human encounter go up.
Particularly our learned behavior and how they can get food and yearlings, cubs, they learn how to find food from their mothers. And so this was a case where we could not allow that to continue.
The bears were found hours after the woman's death. All 3 were killed. Clay explains why the bears were put down before the necropsy, giving details to us that we will not share out of respect for the victim's family.
All signs that we had at that time pointed to this being a bear attack. And in addition to that, greater search of the area did not reveal any other animals, predators around. This was the evidence that we had.
This is the bear claw.
Back in 2019, John Johnson and his partner, George Field, had to fight off a mother bear inside their home.
It's not one of those situations that I totally relive. The way I know that George still gets somewhat emotional when she has to recount the story.
The bear that attacked the couple was euthanized. Johnson calls the bear's death a tough situation, but one that must be done.
Basically a powerful and wild animal that has learned to open doors and come in, things of this nature. Suppose that had been a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old boy or girl that was standing there by the door.
One of the cubs was found and relocated. On CPW's Facebook page, Rodney wanted the same thing for the bears in Durango, something Clay says simply was not possible.
One, Colorado law does not allow for us to bring wild animals into captivity. Relocation efforts are not foolproof, but bears oftentimes will return many, many miles to where they were relocated from because they go back to where they know they can get food.
Clay says CPW is constantly looking at ways to improve how situations like this are handled.
But as far as our policies on euthanizing wild animals after attack, I don't think that is something that we can change.
Gary Brode, Denver7.
In previous law, there were really very few requirements for how counties redrew their districts.
But a new state law looks to create more transparency, something one county plans to fight.
We'd be able to defend them. And it's not a concern of mine.
Kind of a damp and soggy night out there, but there are 70s and even 80s in the 7-day.
And coming up later, a woman is sold a puppy online, but immediately has to bring it to the vet.
Absolutely heartbroken, and my son's really upset too. He really took to the puppy.
Now she worries it can happen to more people.
I'm concerned that he might be running like a puppy mill or stealing these puppies.